Hello. It's been a while since I posted. I've actually been out and about enjoying some car shows, and I didn't grab any footage of that. Spent some time with my daughter and some friends, and just had the car out and meeting a lot of people and talking and having fun. Um, and through that, the process of realizing my air conditioning is just enough to be annoying. I made some calls, I went through some forums, and I had previously upgraded to 134A and the PAG oil and rebuilt my A6 compressor. And I think, this was a few years ago, so when it first was charged up back then, it seemed to work okay, but it was towards the end of summer, and I really hadn't given it a good test, although it was blowing 38 to 40 degrees as I was moving, but in stop and go traffic, I never really got a good gauge of what it was doing. So recently we've had some pretty hot weather, and I've found out that, again, I'm in that situation where if I'm driving and I got the pressure right, which is between, I think, 43 to 48 on this, it's optimum, and then I'm catching 40 degrees driving, and it's pretty comfortable. But in stop and go traffic, which in my opinion is when you need it most, it's cranking out at anywhere between 58 and 62, depending upon what the outside temp is. So I wasn't going to mess with this thing, and I had bought some parts. I got a new pro6ten compressor after speaking to Old Air, and was ready to pull the trigger on updating everything. But apparently for the VIR car, there is limited upgrades as to what you could do. So they recommended I flush the system to get rid of any oil, because the compressors come pre-oiled and they don't want any airlock happening in the system. And if you don't change the dryer, which on this car was new, I would void the warranty of the compressor. So I opted to buy the new dryer, which is an updated version. It wasn't that expensive. It was under 50 bucks, which kind of surprised me. The compressor was, I think, it was either $398 or $498, but if it gets me cool, then it's money well spent. And of course, when you don't have any money, that's a lot of money. And I could probably be doing much more with that money than getting cool, but I do want to drive the car, so it's important to me to be comfortable in that. So this morning, before work, I dropped a hose off at a place that my friend recommended, and I took footage of when I picked it up. I just got to Bristol Hose and Fitting. I had a high pressure AC line made about, 7 inches longer. Since the dryer that I bought was putting the hose at a weird angle, it banjoed it real bad. So I've been wanting to get this done for a while. My friend turned me on to this place, which is right across, maybe a town or two to the east of where I'm at, and going in to get it, and going to be assembling the parts and hopefully get my car cold again. And I'll be installing that. It needed to be replaced anyway because it was very old, and it was a little bit short after I put the dryer on the last time, because the the way that the eliminator kind of threw out the clocking of the hose connection, it was just making it, and it was kind of banjoed. So I had always had intentions of replacing that line anyway, but I wasn't going to do it until the spring of next year because I didn't want to lose any drive time. But considering we're in a heat wave right now and today was 102, I figured I'm not going to be driving it anyway. So to my surprise, the hose company turned the hose around in a couple hours, so I was able to pick it up after work and get it home tonight. And I kind of been procrastinating, but I'm out here now. It's kind of late. I got to work in the morning, but I'm going to spend a couple hours probably and see if I can at least get the pump switched out and just kind of see how far I can get. And with that, I will show you some of the new hard parts and we'll get to work. Thanks. All right, so here is the new compressor. I'm going to unbox it, and to my surprise, I thought it was just as heavy as the A6, which if any of you have muscled on an A6, they're pretty heavy, and you know they're really no fun when you got to move them around. So the shipping weight on this was 21 pounds, and I think that the A6 is 47.5 pounds, if I remember reading it somewhere. But here's the new compressor. Here's the warranty, 12 months, free of defect, blah, blah, blah. Malfunctions which result from cause beyond old era products control, including without limitation. So when I was talking to the sales guy, he had told me that, you know, a lot of people were not flushing out the system and a lot of crap was in there and it was getting caught up and it was, you know, totally disintegrating the pumps, and then everybody was moaning that it was the pump. So they spent a lot of time telling me what they expected me to do. Oh, there it is. What they expected me to do to keep that warranty valid. So you can see there the compressor contains oil, and what's nice about this is it's a direct bolt-on, so I'm really excited about it. I knew the compressor was out there when I rebuilt my A6, but I was never really fond of how this all looked. I wanted to try and stay factory, but you know, I'm gonna sacrifice a little bit to update so that I can enjoy the car, because I'm certainly not enjoying it when it's hot and I'm in traffic. So that's the story there. I did check the cost of this thing was $398, and then the VIR eliminator, which is right there, was 30 bucks, and I think they gave me a little bit of a discount, so it was even under that. And then I bought a new pressure switch, because if you use your stock A6 compressor, you're supposed to clock this 3/4 of a turn counterclockwise, and it would get the A6 cycling. And I think that's a lot of what my problem was. I was messing with that switch. The cycling was never really cycling, and you know, when the A6 engages, man, the whole car does a squat to the left. So what I'm going to do right now, I think, is get that out of there. Here's the line that I replaced, or actually had remade, and I added 7 inches to that, so I got some good room. But I'll tell you what, it's nice. I'll insert a picture of what it looked like before I went and got this hose made, and you know, it was ugly. So it'll be nice seeing that in there, and you know, and having things work. So I'm hoping for the best, and you know, we'll see what happens, and I'll keep you up to date on what my temps are going to be.
Oh man.
Well, I haven't had that out in a while. The valve cover gaskets I had to replace, and I had the stock valve cover the valve covers on, and I went with these old Mickey Thompson valve covers because the old Chevys, there's only 4 bolts in there, and they leak all over. So I thought I had a rear main seal leak and all kinds of craziness and chasing that. So when I put these on and cleaned off the motor, I'm burning oil, that's for sure, but I'm knock wood, I'm not leaking it. So I'm pretty happy about that. Eventually I'll probably go through the motor. I did throw a mild cam in here and change the intake, but nothing crazy. I mean, there's no real horsepower, but it runs good. So, back in the day I did some plumbing, and an old timer taught me that if you have a plumbing fitting, you always tighten it a little bit first. I'm sure some of you noticed that I was clockwise when I first started going at this, but that was the reason why. Even though they're relatively new fittings, I still kind of out of habit do the tightening first. Originally, this is the VIR, and there was an orifice tube in here that had to come out, and then this block is what regulates the flow of Freon. And a bunch of malarkey that I probably don't understand. But I originally was going to take this and get it rebuilt, and I was advised against it if I was going to be using the 134, so that's why I went with the VIR eliminator. So there was a clamp on there that bolted on here that held this. So of course I had to take this apart to see what was in here. And aside from all the crazy venturis and what have you inside of this manifold, this was where the desiccant pack was. I threw it away, but it was all completely drenched in oil, and there was a ton of crap in there. And then this was the pickup tube that dropped down in there. I mean, you can kind of hear the stuff in there. It must have went through a couple of compressors in its time. So I could, I guess, get this rebuilt and sell it, but I don't know that anybody's going to be interested in it. So it's kind of neat though, just seeing what was out there. I think back when I did the dryer eliminator, the VIR eliminator, they were even asking for these cores, and if I remember correctly, they were going to buy it for $45 or something like that, but I figured I'd keep it for whatever, I don't know, reason. But that's what that is. And then I gotta flush that. I gotta flush the condenser. The evaporator. And those are the only two parts that I really need to worry about. So I flushed them before, so I don't think they're gonna be that bad when I do that. But I think I'm gonna call this for tonight. My daughter's getting ready to go to bed. She's got to go to school in the morning, and I got to go to work. So I think we'll pick this up tomorrow. So it's the next day, and I flushed the system out, and it was a mess. There wasn't a lot of junk in there, but sure seemed like there was a lot of oil in there, so maybe that was some of my problem. But I got the evaporator dryer on and got some of my hoses reconnected, and I'm going to put together the compressor now. And only then did I start to realize that I wasn't taping. So again, that's part of my learning curve. I get out here, I'm so focused on what I got to do, I forget that I'm trying to document this. Again, because especially with the El Camino, there's not a lot, at least that I can find, documentation and video of things that need to be done on the El Camino specifically, let alone most of the 73 to 77 A bodies. So I'm going to get to it here. I'm going to set up the camera to record, and then hopefully start to vacuum this thing down and make sure that I get good seals. Well, we just had a storm roll through. It's been pretty hot, as I was saying before. It was 102 yesterday. Today, when I was picking up my daughter from school, we're at 105, and that was pretty crazy. So I did some research. I had to stop what I was doing and was stumped on my thermal switch, which I have since taken off because the consensus is that they never needed them to begin with, and then they added them in 72. So it was kind of a low pressure cutout which superheats the Freon. So I've got that removed, and that took me a little while to figure that all out, just to be sure, because I was going to swap the switch, which some have done, but apparently a bunch of folks talk about how you don't need it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm blowing it off. And it looks like I'm going to go with some factory bolts here. But I'm getting excited about getting this put back together, and I truly hope that it helps, although I don't know. I did rebuild this A6 a few years back. And the system hasn't been leaking, but you know, there's not much more you can replace with this VIR system, which a lot of guys moan that that's the problem, that the evaporator and the condenser could be an upgraded situation with the way that the fins come together, a tighter pattern, and being a thicker pattern, more space, that's just not as efficient. So we'll see. You know, if I've got the problem in stop and go traffic where this isn't cooling, then I'm going to look into what kind of options I've got into retrofitting something that will work, because like it's just cool enough that it's annoying when you're sitting in traffic. So you're kind of caught between not rolling the windows down and keeping them up and praying that you can get some speed going. So we'll see. Oh my God, this thing is heavy. Whoops. There we go. Well, it's almost a direct fit. The tie-down bolt for the manifold back there needs to be about 1.25 inches long. It's about a 1/2 inch long. And this is also a metric M10 1.5 pitch. So, looks like I'm going to have to go to the hardware store, which is going to have to be tomorrow, because it's kind of late tonight and nothing's open. So, we'll bring you back tomorrow and hopefully we can finish this thing up. So it's the next day, and after being told that I couldn't, or nobody manufactured a parallel condenser, I actually found one. So I ordered it. It's coming out of Texas. It should be here in the next couple of days. So I'm going to end the video here. I know I haven't posted in a while, so I want to get this up. And then I'll bring you back when I start decomming the radiator and getting that condenser out of there. I'm actually looking forward to this because that change is what's going to make the difference, and I'm super excited. So, you know, then I should be able to have some cold air standing still, I'm hoping. It sure sounds like that. The gentleman I talked to was very knowledgeable and seems to agree that once these pieces are all playing together, it's gonna change things for the 134A upgrade. So I'm pretty happy. It's kind of, I guess I'm really happy that I didn't get this thing all together and then find the condenser. So, you know, it's still pretty hot up here. It's not as hot as it has been. Last night storms rolled through and cooled everything down, but we're still in the 80s and 90s for the rest of the week. So hopefully I get the stuff before the weekend so that I can have it for Memorial Day and any running around or visiting that I'm doing. But if not, no big deal. I'm just happy that I found what I've been looking for, and it looks like it's all coming together. And then once that's done, I will be parking this thing for the winter and pulling in my daughter's car and starting on that. So that'll be the first full documentation of a project on this channel. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing how different it is now that I have experienced some of what I'm going to be facing on that project. So thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. I'd really like to hear what I'm not doing or what I should be doing, or if I'm doing something that's liked or disliked. I'm open to it all. I'm just trying to have some fun and hopefully get some information out and be part of the car community. So thank you, and we'll see you soon.